Okay, I'm going to pick up the phone, and we're talking with Steve.
Yeah, hi, Aaron and Aaron. Yeah,
Aaron?
thanks for allowing me this opportunity to present evidence. The fast radio burst designated as FRB 2024-0209A are artificially generated radio beams used in propelling an ancient alien starship's light cells rather than these FRBs like signals coming from a magnetar or another natural object such as a collapsing white star or from a pair of merging neutron stars. So are you guys familiar with FRBs? I'm guessing Aaron probably knows a little bit about these.
Well, he's the physicist. I mean, I don't get a lot of this in taxonomy. So, how did you ascertain that these radio bursts were artificially generated?
Yeah, so the source of FRB 2024-0209A has been pinpointed to the distant edge of an ancient galaxy where magnetars
as
no
opposed to a new
longer exist.
One? Okay.
And then since February 2024, this particular FRB has been detected reoccurring on 22 separate occasions by CHIME. And CHIME is the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment Radio Telescope. And FRB 2024-0209A recurring nature implies the signal is not caused by a rapid one-time event, such as a gravitational collapse or collision of neutron stars. However, FRB 2024-0209A resonates at the optimal frequency for intergalactic light cell propulsion as proposed by astrophysicists Manasvi Lingam and Avi Loeb's research article titled Fast Radio Bursts from Intergalactic Light Cells, published in the
well, let me just ask a couple of questions here. Got a couple of questions here. First of all, you still haven't shown me, or you still haven't explained how you know that these radio bursts are artificially generated. And you said that they were used for that they're used for propelling ancient alien spacecraft light sails. And how do you know how these ancient aliens are in fact ancient or aliens, or how they use their light sails, or that they use light sails at all?
Well, I know they're ancient because the source of this FRB is from a galaxy that's 2 billion light years away. So if they're 2 billion light years away, that means we're seeing this happening, from 2 billion years ago. So I know they're ancient, and the frequency that this radio beam resonates happens to match almost perfectly with that as predicted by these two astrophysicists that wrote a paper about this 8 years ago.
When you say it resonates, what do you mean? Because all light is vibrating.
It's preconceived conclusions.
Vibrates, I should say. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're better with the correct technical terms. Of course, Aaron than I am. I should probably say that. Yeah, they're at the same frequency as we would expect for a radio beam to power a light cell, as predicted by these two. And there's a paper on this too. So you got to take this seriously, because there's a paper written by two astrophysicists about this 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So because you mentioned the name a few times, I was able to Google it and see that, yes, there is a paper about the FRB. But I don't quite know how you get from it's at this, it's emitting light at a certain frequency, therefore it's artificial, because there's a bit of history when it comes to things like this. Are you familiar with the history of pulsars?
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, I know what they are, right? They're, are they neutron star? What exactly is a pulsar? Is that like a neutron star? Or
yeah, it's a spinning neutron star, and they literally have these pulses they're very fast spinning. They're very regular in the pulses they give. And when they were first detected, I think in the 1960s, they were called LGMs, for little green men. Somewhat tongue-in-cheek way of saying, hey, this looks kind of weird and interesting. I wonder if they're aliens, though it's very tongue-in-cheek not thinking that. And the whole reason that anyone would even think that is like, wow, this thing is so regular. It's almost like atomic clock level of precision. Does nature actually produce anything like this? Maybe we found ourselves a galactic lighthouse of some sort. Lo and behold, though, we do more science, and now we know much better what pulsars are. And nobody thinks they're alien tech littered around the universe. I don't think even folks like Avi Loeb, who you mentioned, have suggested that. So to me, my first thought is just about every time somebody jumped to it's aliens, we do more science, and it's never aliens. So saying, hey, here's a really new, bright object. I wonder if it's aliens. Given that track record, I'm going to say hold off until there's actually direct evidence rather than could you imagine an alien using this for propulsion. And when I found the paper on it, so by the way, when I say I found the paper, the main place that physics people post their papers before it goes for like other peer review sources is called the archives. ARXIV. The archives is basically a preprint service, so you can actually go and read physics and science papers for the grand price of $0. The way science should be, I really feel. So I basically typed into Google, found this, and then it took me to the archive page where there's a submission from October of just last year. And one of the things they note here is that the star that seems to have formed this fast radio burst is something like 11 solar masses. That's a pretty hefty thing to use just to use, push a light sail. Think if aliens are able to control a star of that sort of mass, they'd be using a bit more sophisticated tech than solar sail because I don't know about you, but sailing is kind of slow. Space is even bigger than the ocean. And if you tell me it's going to take several weeks to cross the ocean, I am bored to hell. If you're going to tell me, oh, it's going to take millennia to get to the next star system by solar sail, I'm not getting on that boat. That's basically what you're saying these ancient folks would be doing. So at the very least, it's not the ancient aliens I would hang out with.
Yeah, my issue with the whole presentation,
multi-generational.
My issue with the whole presentation is your assumption that these are artificially generated. Somehow you just know that. And why are they artificially generated? Because they're being used in this alien starship's light sail system. They're artificially generated for that purpose. Well, how do you know the purpose? When really, you don't know anything. You've got, oh, there's a beam. There's a signal. There's a whatever. And we get all kinds of signals from all kinds of things. But this one, is being used on a 68 Chevy with a squeaky front brake. Somehow all of that.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that these fast radio bursts are all over the universe. Well, I understand it's not your idea, but here's the thing. We need to look at what's the plausibility of it, because here's the thing. Fast radio bursts we actually see throughout the universe. They're not just coming from this one place. They're scattered out, which suggests, hey, what's causing them seems to be natural because they're commonly found in nature. So to jump to artificiality seems to go well beyond anything we can prove.
Okay, but this ancient galaxy doesn't have new star formation. There are no magnetars where the source of the signal's coming from, because those magnetars, as I understand, tend to form in a younger galaxy.
This could happen,
and it's not at the center or near the center of the galaxy where magnetars are. This is at the very edge, like you're talking like 150,000 light years from the center of a galaxy where magnetars aren't known to likely exist. So if it's not a magnetar,
now I have to admit, when it comes to fast radio bursts, this is definitely not my area of research. So I have to come at this as a total non-expert. But my understanding is what fast radio bursts are, like what's the cause of them, is actually still an area of active pursuit. So we don't actually know what model best explains them, or even if there is just one model. So just to give an example of the state of science, if we go back in time, if it were the year 1604, you looked into the sky and all of a sudden there's a new star, because we now understand, oh, stars can explode and create what we would call nova, literally the word for new. And we did not know what was causing it, and that there's actually a different variety of kinds of explosions of stars. So we got nova, we got supernova, we have multiple types of each of those, and we've only discovered that and realized there isn't one model to explain all exploding stars. I would say, hey, this brand new thing that we've only known about for a matter of, I don't even know how many years, maybe a decade, these fast radio bursts, we're just barely beginning to even model them, and there's no reason to assume we've got it all figured out and we know what all of them are going to be, especially the repeating ones. So to say it can't be a magnetar is not even halfway to an argument for artificiality. It's, hey, we don't really know what these things are. We need to do a whole lot more science, and if we jump to the aliens thing, it's going to look just like the same sort of thing for anyone saying aliens for pulsars 50, 60 years ago. It would have been the exact same logic. I don't know what it is. It looks kind of weird. I bet it's aliens. We do more science. Nope, it's something that totally forms naturally, and we could do lots of cool science with them. So that's my initial thought. It's like, we can't just say, we don't know what's causing it, therefore aliens.
Well, what about the fact that they've detected this 22 times, so it's not a one-time, one-off event like you'd expect from like a collision of neutron stars or some gravitational
collapse. That is probably not a collision of neutron stars, but we just don't know what the exact mechanism is. Again, this is an area of active research where nobody thinks we know exactly how all fast radio bursts work.
Okay, so if we don't know a natural explanation, then this has got to be an extraterrestrial techno.
No. That is a complete logical fallacy. I don't know what it is, therefore aliens. That is completely fallacious.
I don't know,
therefore I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only explanation we have.
Carl Sagan was talking about how.
No, we got lots of explanations. It could be, hey, maybe there's new physics going on. Hey, maybe there are different sorts of explosions that can happen on the surface of stars that can give a similar look to star collisions. It's basically, hey, there's just a lot of interesting stuff happening out in space that we need to figure out. And what we don't have is the evidence of any extraterrestrials, let alone ones 2 billion years in the past who have figured out light sails and are using something the mass of our sun 11 times over to keep exploding multiple times a year to push their sail in a direction that will still be painfully slow in the cosmic sense. Because again, it will be millennia to get wherever they're going. And
but that was 2 billion years ago.
Than a hydrogen propulsion, right? I mean, that would still be faster if it takes a millennium.
That's just straight up speculation. You got no evidence for that. You can't infer all of their technology from, hey, I don't know what caused that big light in the sky. Again, it'd be the exact same situation if you were in the 1960s and you discovered your first pulsar. You don't know what it is. The timing looks amazingly regular, and you jump to aliens. You would be wrong if you did that, and the same sort of logic is applying here. You don't know what this is, and you can come up with an artificial explanation for it, but really the better explanation is we don't know yet. Let's keep doing science.
And it happened 2 billion years ago, and they're still not here.
What about the JWT? Yeah, the James Webb Telescope should take a look at this and see. And they need to investigate this more. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but in time, I think they're going to find.
You literally did. You called in with your conclusion. You, the jumpiest jumper that ever jumped. Come on, Steve.
You jumped to a whole bunch of conclusions. They were artificially generated. They were artificially generated by this sort of a civilization, and they were artificially generated by this sort of a civilization for specifically this purpose in this type of technology. All of those conclusions you jumped to at once.
Well, I think we need to investigate this before they find my conclusion. Yes.
Well, wouldn't it be better to wait until the investigation, then reach the conclusion? I can think of less than ideal politicians who just jump to conclusions before having any evidence, and I don't think you want to be like that.
Carl Sagan did a nice little thought experiment on this. Carl Sagan was talking about how people first looking at Venus And they can't see any details on Venus at all because of the thick cloud cover. Well, if there's thick cloud cover, well, then it must be hot and humid and all of that. And if it's humid, there's probably a jungle type environment. And if there's a jungle type environment, then it's a pristine primal kind of a forest. Maybe has dinosaurs in it. So, yeah. So the observation was couldn't see a thing. Conclusion: dinosaurs. And that's what you've just given us.
Well, I just think it's very odd that this is at the same frequency as predicted in this paper by Avi Loeb and forget the other guy's name. 8 years ago.
I should also point out, Avi Loeb has now a bit of a history of jumping on every single alien bandwagon he can find, including inventing new bandwagons to hop on and then have it fly out right off the road into the ocean. He literally thought that we found debris from an ancient alien craft off the coast of Australia, if I remember correctly, thinking that we actually get like artifacts from interstellar space, and we found out it was probably industrial sludge.
Oh, well.
So I'm just saying that's his track record, unfortunately.
Well, it only takes
he also thought when
right.
Oumuamua came, the first interstellar asteroid that came through our solar system, he hopped on that and said, "Oh, this must be a solar sail." And then everyone else was like, "That seems like the least like you hit the target just because you threw enough darts. You hit the target just because you threw enough darts."
Yep.
By the way, Avi Loeb is not the same person as the crazy hair guy. That's Giorgio Tsoukalos, who totally different camps in the sense that Avi Loeb was at Harvard in the astrophysics department. Clearly a better astronomer than me, because I can walk to Harvard. I can't be at Harvard. Tsoukalos has a degree in sports communications and doesn't know shit about archaeology, and yet will tell everyone how the pyramids were really built.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't realize he had such a interesting history then, but you know, I mean, I'm not going to begrudge him for being wrong. You know, that's the thing about science. You know, you like to be proven wrong. You want to know the truth.
Yeah.
So.
The thing is, though. Oh, here's the thing. Can I give you a little bit of personal history?
Okay.
When I was an undergraduate, I actually did some professional alien hunting in that I did a summer internship at the SETI Institute out in California. And
did you find any professional aliens?
Not that I can tell you. No, but one of the things I did get to do was actually use their radio telescope array, and I was doing my own observations with it. And they have a bank of computers that are constantly looking for any possible artificial signals while I'm doing that. So some passive alien hunting along the way. And I'm there and working with the radio astronomers that are part of that. I'm meeting some of the famous folks that live there or work there. I had one quick meeting with Frank Drake while he was still alive. Jill Tarter I met a couple of times. And strangely enough, like years later, and I was at a conference and she was speaking, she recognized me. So one, I'm surprised I'm recognizable. Two, she's sharp as a tack. So never get into argument with her unless you want to get beaten down because she knows her stuff so well. I bring that up because Jill Tarter is like one of the most prominent figures in the hunt for extraterrestrial intelligence. She, like back in the 70s, like went down that and took that as the direction of her career, and has been trying to professionally look for evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. And in a Zoom call that was like this big chat about this and talking with Avi Loeb about how to responsibly do this, Loeb is basically shouting and talking over her, basically the person who's done more science for trying to find aliens than anyone else, and saying that she doesn't know what she's doing, that she doesn't actually actively try to do the stuff, that only he is doing this sort of thing, that this has been his work and it's all been him. It's just cringe. And I did not expect to ever see that from a Harvard astronomer saying that to someone of such prominence and also of such caution, because guess what? Jill Tarter doesn't go out and write a paper every week saying, I found aliens again, and having to get proven wrong again. They really care about not having any false positives at the SETI Institute because they know just one false positive and their funding is done forever. They need to show that they will only say, we found it once they actually have the evidence. And before then, say, we're looking. And they've been doing this for years, decades, actually. And that's the thing that's upsetting to me, is that folks like Loeb come along and just instantly jump to aliens and blast everyone else for not coming to their conclusion immediately, and just throw out speculation as if it's science. We need to actually gain evidence and test that rigorously before we ever say anything is even probably true, let alone chastise others for not coming to your speculation as fact.
Well, I mean, you have to further investigate this. I'm not saying this is alien, but they're aliens.
You're actually doing the line. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Okay, so we were very excited that we had a theist call in, and sadly, you did not call in about theism.
Well, hey, I would say that technologically advanced extraterrestrials that could go from with interplanetary space travel capabilities, or they're godlike. They'd be godlike to us. So, hey, would you guys, if they found extraterrestrial,
so when you say you're a theist,
would you guys become theists?
When you say you're a theist, you're actually saying that you don't believe in a god. You believe in aliens, godlike aliens.
I believe in extraterrestrial intelligence. I do not believe the omni-God does not exist. I mean, that's obvious. I mean,
okay, so you're not a theist.
Answer. Not in a traditional sense, no. I wouldn't be.
Okay.
And I know the omni-God doesn't exist. I mean, just logically, all the suffering of children. I mean, I get why adults suffer. They make poor life choices, but these innocent kids done nothing. They don't deserve to suffer. What kind of powerful, loving, caring God would let them suffer? None. There is none.
Well, yeah, I always had a problem with believers saying that God knows everything, sees everything, does everything. Nothing happens without God's permission. Permission, right? So when a child is raped,
he's not very benevolent. He's not benevolent, and I mean, he can't be all omni. That's just contradictory logically. But hey, it's good talking with you guys. If you guys have other calls, so
all right. Well, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and
thank you.
Go ahead and let you go.
Thanks for watching that clip. Hey, we're trying to do some data research about whether or not our callers successfully proved that God existed. If they didn't, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's how we know they failed. But if you don't like and subscribe, you're saying that they succeeded. So you're saying that by liking and subscribing, you will be affirming that you are an atheist. Hey, what else should they do?
I don't know. Maybe go to patreon.com/calltheline and donate some of their hard-earned money.
Like and subscribe.